All right, so now we have kind of a thick wall, a thin wall. Let's go ahead and customize one of these. So, there are a series of types of walls are already in here, and I've talked about maybe using one of them if it's close and then modifying it. But let's just go on a full build mode, and I've put some supplements that you can use to kind of build these correctly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do is, once you get into one of these type properties, and this will go through to about anything that you ever touch, you might start generic, but you want to get specific eventually. Once you make design decisions, you want to duplicate, and this makes sure that anything that still wants to be generic 12 will remain generic 12, and now you're kind of create your own piece. I'm going to use one of the supplements that I provided for you as something that we will use to build this. So what we have is the coffee shop exterior brick on CMU Soldier. Okay, so I'm gonna call it that. And see if I've gotten close. Okay. So we'll just go with that. I did put exterior. It may go without saying. All right, so now I've created my own type, and I'm going to go into the structure, and I'm going to start building this to conform with the others. So let me just to make this a little easier for you all and myself to see. I'm going to have this kind of showing. All right, so we'll go back into this. So this has now been labeled the coffee shop exterior brick wall. I'm going to go under structure, and then you start to see all of this. So what we were talking about earlier about core versus finish and how you build out, this is where that becomes important. So anything that's inside of these two rows is your core, and that tends to be structure. Anything outside will be finish. Okay, so let's just build it the way this is, so I'm just going to mimic it. So you can see this column is material, and in here we have set material. So what we're going to do is going to click inside of this cell and hit the 3 dots, and that will allow me to see if there are names similar. So this is masonry units, concrete mason units. Yep, we'll click that, say okay. So that's going to assign it a material. So if we were to render this, it would look like concrete masonry units. However, that's been described for its appearance. So right here it has an image, and we can kind of see a preview of it. We could change certain things if we wanted to, give it a color, blah, blah, blah. I'll go into customizing materials later. But for right now, let's just use the specific ones that are already set up in Revit. And the other thing we need to do is we need to put in its thickness. So I'm just going to say a 3 5/8. So it's a pretty thin masonry wall. And then I'm going to just start building the rest of these. So la-ti-da, here we go. So I'm going to insert. And move it up into the finish category. I'm going to put it's going to be a membrane. So you can see in this row, this cell has different already preloaded categories that we just grab, or functions we should say, and then we'll just, again, this is just monkey see, monkey do. and it's everything. That one can get away with apparently not having a thickness. Most of these need a thickness, so I'm going to keep inserting. So I need 3 more, and just quickly give them each their layer, and that'll be finish 4, fine. And then this is rigid insulation. It's important to actually put the material. It may seem like, well, I only need the finish on either side and I don't really need the rest of it. Not really. So each of these is going to create inside of the wall a poche for its thickness and its type. So rigid insulation has a very specific pattern that it uses, a crosshatch pattern that communicates to everyone what it is. And so it is important still to go ahead and put in these intermediate layers the way they are supposed to be. And this is just air. If you can see the entire word, you can just type it in and it will take, but it has to be the absolutely everything. So here you can see that it's cutting off certain parts of it, so you're gonna have to go and find it. And then the final one will be a brick soldier. Usually typing the first few letters lets you find what you're looking for. So, and again, do not forget to put in the thicknesses and to make sure that you're using inches. And we have 1 more to insert, or 2 more to insert. And so we have a substrate, and we have a finish 2, and we have, this is going to be gypsum. That's sheetrock, if you don't know. And the other is metal furring, something to mount the sheetrock to. Okay, and then the final is to give that thickness. So that is how you build your wall. So let's just go ahead and see kind of what it did. So okay. Nothing appears to have changed. The poche that I promised you isn't there. Well, the reason that is that you need to go from coarse. Coarse just gives you the basic wall, and it's good when you're in conceptual designing not to kind of see all the finesse of the wall makeup. But then there you can see how it was actually constructed. You can see the various layers. You do want to make sure that you have. So this is the brick pattern, so right now it is on the exterior. If it happened not to be, you can just click on this flip orientation or change walls orientation, and you can see how it flipped. Now, one thing to note is that it did flip, because this is location line exterior, it flipped on the exterior, that exterior line it's associated with. If it happened to be wall center line, and I flipped it, it would just flip on that, again, that center line of its makeup. So that will also make a difference, kind of, if you happen to have built it on the wrong side. And we can visually see that here. Well, we could. We'll have to actually then change this mode too. So graphic design options, from hidden line to shaded. And the one that we built was this one. And you can see that it is got a soldier. Of course, we could assign this to another wall, doing that. So that looks right. Voila, our first custom wall.